Imagine, after 20 years, finally getting to stretch in the vast open ocean after spending your life in a concrete tank.
This is what some lucky whales and dolphins are now able to experience due to captive animal release programs worldwide.
With concerns of animal welfare at the forefront of many people's minds, training facilities have been set up in sea sanctuaries to house individuals whilst preparing them for a new life in the wild. Although, sadly, as with many conservation schemes, this may not be as simple as first imagined.
While the best interests of the dolphins and whales is up for debate, the impact that release schemes can have on local fishers and communities is of growing concern. Could the release of these animals really be our solution to the dwindling cetacean populations worldwide? Or is it just too good to be true?
So, come with me today while we explore the world of releasing marine mammals from captivity, discuss the major players on either side of this debate, and look to the future.
Welcome to the first episode of Dolphin Diaries, everyone.
Now, the pressure for release of marine mammals from captivity came from large animal welfare activist organisations protesting keeping these animals in concrete tanks due to the negative impacts on their physical and mental health and well-being. The emotionally stirring videos of orca whales mindlessly lolling around in tiny tanks with their dorsal fins flopped over, just like this, are images familiar to us all.
The success of reintroduction programs is widely debated, and when searching the scientific literature, I could find very limited scientific reports documenting the successfulness. But just because there's no scientific literature reporting on these programs doesn't mean that success stories haven't been documented.
Jeff Foster, a marine mammal expert, is attributed as being the genius behind the first successful release of two male bottlenose dolphins, Tom and Misha, back into the wild. Jeff led a team of experienced marine mammal trainers, vets and scientists under the support of the Born Free Foundation to rescue the two dolphins from life in chlorinated pools as part of a tourist trap scheme to fill the pockets of Russian millionaires. In 2011, Jeff and his team transported the pair to a sea pen in Turkey, where they underwent an extensive training and rehabilitation program to get them ready for life in the open ocean. Using remote deployment devices to minimize human contact, live fish were released into the pen to encourage Tom and Misha to redevelop their hunting skills that would have been lost whilst in captivity. After the 20-month training program, the pair were finally ready to be released. Satellite tagging showed that during the crucial 90-day post-release period, both were healthy and social, and Misha was even spotted 2 years later.
Although successful in this instance, there is debate amongst scientists about whales and dolphins' ability to adapt to life in the wild. Tom and Misha had only been in captivity for 5 to 6 years, but what about individuals that have been kept for decades? Although highly intelligent mammals, scientists are sceptical that individuals who have experienced more prolonged periods in captivity may be unable to adapt to life in the wild. A famous example of the training techniques mentioned before not being able to prepare a whale for life in the wild is the tragic case of Keiko the orca,
the killer whale that some of you may recognise from the hit film Free Willy. Keiko was born in Icelandic waters in 1977 or 78 and was just 2 years old when he was captured by fishermen and sold to Reino Adventure, an amusement park in Mexico City. Confined in tiny tanks for 17 years, Keiko was finally rescued and rehabilitated at the age of 19 before being moved to a sea sanctuary back in his home waters of Iceland and was finally released in 2002.
Unfortunately, however, just 1 year later, Keiko had died. As having lived solitary for most of his life, he was unable to join the pod and still relying on humans for feeding, coming up to fisher boats expecting to be fed.
There are also worries from scientists about disease control when it comes to releasing these animals. A study completed by Dr. Patricia Fair and her team in 2017 found that wild dolphin populations had a much more active immune response with much higher levels of antibodies and natural killer cells, the white blood cells that play a key role in killing infected cells, compared to their captive counterparts.
And this basically means that captive dolphins released into the wild may not have the immune capability to fight off diseases that are prevalent in wild populations. This can also be seen in reverse, with captive individuals possibly carrying diseases that aren't present in the wild and passing them on to populations that don't have the immune system to fight off these diseases.
Scientific studies have shown captive populations of dolphins can harbour deadly diseases such as Morbillivirus and Brucella without showing symptoms. Two diseases that, if they made it into a wild population of dolphins, could have catastrophic consequences.
And although this is rare, as most captive individuals undergo a thorough medical exam before being released, it's not impossible. So if there's so much risk around the release of cetaceans, is releasing them really the right thing to do? Let me know what you guys think in the comments. It's not just the marine biologists and conservationists' beliefs that need to be considered in this matter, but also the local communities and governments that may be impacted by the release of marine mammals into their waters.
Being in locations such as Iceland, Canada, Indonesia, and the Mediterranean Sea, sea sanctuaries set up for dolphin and whale release schemes can cause problems for local fishers. In these areas, many small-scale, locally run fisheries are being forced out of the local waters where they have spent generations fishing to make way for the state-of-the-art sanctuary facilities. Although not documented in the context of cetacean sanctuaries, other marine sanctuaries in Iceland have led to the banning of fish in waters where local fishers have relied on the fish stocks over generations for food and income. So it seems probable that this is also the case for the cetacean sanctuaries, which span hundreds of thousands of square kilometres of ocean.
Now, as with all conservation schemes, the financial implications of the release programmes for both governments and local communities are widely debated.
The 3-year rehabilitation training and eventual release of Keiko cost local governments in Turkey and Iceland a total of $20 million.
And now, I don't know about you, but I definitely don't have a spare 20 million laying around to invest in just one whale release. And there's not a chance that governments have the financial resources to prioritise investment in multiple whale or dolphin releases each year. And as many of these governments are poorer countries, it would mean sacrificing funds from other areas, such as food security, healthcare, or military, which many governments just don't have the luxury of doing. However, not all hope is lost. It just means that schemes rely heavily on outside funding from non-profit conservation groups who rely on donations from the public.
One of the most influential of these conservation groups is the Dolphin Project Indonesia, who are the heart and soul of activism against the exploitation of dolphins, with 2 state-of-the-art rehabilitation and release sanctuaries, Umalumba and Camp Lumba Lumba. Not only does the Dolphin Project provide incredible opportunities for captive dolphins, but also for the locals in the communities where these centres are based. The project offers jobs for local Indonesian people to work both in the rehabilitation of the dolphins, but also in the community engagement and outreach to raise money for the centres that are in their backyards.
This provides a perfect example of how cetacean sanctuaries have the ability to benefit local communities. Here we've focused on the opportunities for locals. And although we've not had time to explore it here in this video, I urge you to look into all the amazing projects they are a part of and the incredible work they have done for dolphin releases. This QR code will take you to their website, which I've also provided in the description, so definitely check it out. I spent hours getting lost in the stories on there.
But back to the topic at hand. So we've celebrated the great success stories of release programmes, the individuals and organisations invested in these successes, and the opportunities it can provide for local communities. But we've also delved into the pressures that marine sanctuaries can put on local fishers and the local governments, as well as the risks associated with the release of these animals and the unfortunate scenarios where this has ended badly.
But what does this mean for the future of marine mammal release programmes? Well, conservationists believe that marine mammals bred in captivity could be the start of a solution to boosting endangered dolphin and whale species.
Breeding animals in captivity for release, however, is currently a way off, but work is being done by highly experienced marine mammal trainers and researchers to develop training techniques to make this possible. Release programmes are starting to train dolphins at younger ages, with the hope that embedding these skills early in development may help the success of these animals post-release.
If we can get to a point where we can train individuals from birth, then maybe this is the next step to conserving many marine mammal species. Does it seem that crazy that we can take mature individuals from the ocean, breed them, and then raise their calves for a life in the ocean? Doesn't seem impossible, but let me know what you guys think. The importance of long-term monitoring of individuals post-release has been more recognised in recent years.
Since 2019, the Dolphin Project in Indonesia have been releasing individuals with satellite tags that are able to record their location for 10 months. Understanding where individuals are most commonly going post-release means that the Dolphin Project could tailor programmes focusing on training individuals to hunt fish that are more commonly found in those areas or avoiding predators most likely found there too.
The real unknown in this topic is how behavioural ecology of marine mammal training can be used in this way. Having worked with dolphins in an aquarium setting, training them to be ready for life in a sea sanctuary before release,
I have seen firsthand individuals either forgetting how to do a skill that's been trained for many years or just flat out refusing to do it. With no lethal consequences of these actions in a controlled aquarium setting, individuals learning that this is essential for survival may not be possible.
So, if these skills are forgotten after release, even for a brief period, these whales and dolphins could be at risk of predation or starvation. It seems key that this is the much needed next focus for researchers extending behavioural knowledge, because it's all well and good releasing animals, but if they're not surviving, it's not worth the risk. So although in the past few decades, marine mammal release programmes have taken leaps forward in their success, it does still seem like there's a long way to go. If you did want to check out any of the resources or scientific studies used in this video to delve into this matter even more, then head to the description. I hope you enjoyed this video and I'll see you next week for more content.